can kind of start whenever.
So we're gonna go over the mic setup that we have. We did everyone live in the room together. This Blumline pair, these two ribbon mics, they're made by a company called Melodium. So these pick up in a figure of 8 pattern, and then you have them as close as possible, so you're getting like an X of a figure 8 that's just like a really wide stereo. So that's sort of, in theory, picking up everything. The drums, there's these two ribbon, they're directional ribbons as overheads, the M160s, and then there's, we had never tried this before, actually, but I really like how this sounded. These are Omni mics, so they don't have any much proximity effect, and they're not really loud in the mix right now, but if they're capturing a ton of detail, so if we need more detail on hi-hat or ride parts, we can bring those up. Yeah, there's two mics on the kick, 2 mics on the snare, which is pretty standard, and then there's just like a mic for the kit, just to have a little bit of a more overall sound that's not stereo. This was the sax station. So we actually had Sony C38Bs here, but we just swapped them out for a nylon guitar with these Chef's mics. But basically it was just stereo, 2 mics in stereo. So even though it's not very stereo, but it's just to have something sort of interesting with the sax, where if he moves around a little bit, you can capture that. And I don't know how much we'll use that in the mix, but it's kind of a cool option to have. The piano, the Rhodes only ended up getting used on 2 songs, I think, right? 2 songs?
I think so.
But yeah, that was cool. So there's just a Rhodes with a 421 back there. And the piano itself, there are 2 Shep CMC6s, one on the high strings and one on the low strings. And then, which sounds really nice, but the piano is open so that everyone can hear it, and so has a lot of overheads in it, a lot of drum overhead kind of sound in it. So we also snuck in some dynamic mics under the piano, like near the fingerboard, and we've kind of like forded them off a little bit, and so those sound a little bit more like lo-fi, but it's nice to have that mid-range and high-end with much less bleed. So yeah, the bass, we tried, this is something else that I hadn't tried before. It was a dynamic mic on the fingerboard of the bass, and then this Soyuz mic was pointed at kind of the sound hole more, and then there's also a DI. So both these mics obviously have a bunch of drums in them, so just having a DI, which doesn't really sound good on its own, but we can use it to get a little bit more definition, and it doesn't really have any bleed in it. This mic sounds great on bass. It's just like full, and it's positioned so that the knoll of the microphone is pointing mostly at the drums. And then the last thing is the guitar, which is just 50. It's not a 57. I forget what it's called, but it's basically the same as a 57. And then there's a 421, and that's sort of a common arrangement to just have one mic directly on the cone, and then the other one off axis a little bit, and which is a little bit more of a mellow sound. So depending on the part, they can be blended to get a balanced guitar sound, and it just gives you a little bit more option when you're mixing. Yeah, and there wasn't much so far. It doesn't seem like there's much of an issue with bleed.
I guess we'll see.
We'll see. As long as we don't need to do editing, things sound great. So
cool.
That's the only things sound great.
Sweet.